This next guest is the owner of Flemings Ultimate Garage. He buys and sells some of the greatest automotives, from American muscle cars to Italian supercars, hot rods, and everything in between. He has a vast knowledge on what it takes to restore cars and keeping his customers happy. Please welcome Tony Fleming. How are you, Tony, and where are you?
Dervish, thanks so much for having me on today. And right outside Washington, D.C., where I'm sure you've read about a little bit of the chaos going on, but we're all good here, driving around in some cool cars.
Yeah. I saw a video. Was that you and your wife driving? It was a black convertible car, 50s kind of real. It wasn't a Bel Air, but it looked like a Bel Air. One of them.
Maybe it was an Impala, maybe a 58 Impala convertible. Could have been.
Yeah. Cream roof. Lovely drive. You know, the fact that you get to do that and just, you know, and enjoy all those cars is just fascinating. So how did you get into it?
So actually, it's a pretty good story. If you'll indulge me for 30 seconds, I'll tell you the story. And I think that, so this wasn't a business that was given to me by my family or anything like that.
Okay.
Actually, I started one day with one car on a Saturday. And so I was in the regular car business, the retail business. I've actually never done anything but the car business.
Yeah.
And so I've loved cars since the beginning of time. Matter of fact, my first job was working at a car dealership, and I was too young to drive the cars, but I was washing them. So they had to drive them into the bay for me, and I would wash them, and then he would drive it back out. So I've always loved cars. Yeah. And so I was in the regular car business, and I was supposed to purchase the dealership that we were working at, and the deal fell apart, whatever. I said, I had enough. I said, I'm like the only guy in the car business who loved cars. Like everybody else is in the business to make money. I was in the business because I just loved driving new cars or classic cars or whatever.
Yeah.
So I said, maybe I'll go ahead and start this this classic car thing. So I bought this 63 Corvette, and a friend of mine had a lot. He wasn't doing anything with a nice little building area. So I took it there on a Saturday to meet a customer there who came and looked at it. He liked it. He said, I need to talk to my wife. I said, well, there's other people around. He goes, well, unfortunately, I need to think about it for a minute. And this guy pulls up in a black Suburban, Chevy Suburban. He goes, is that car for sale? I go, yes, it is. He goes, how much is it? And I said what it was. And he said, great, I'll take it. I said, well, this guy's over here in the car talking to his wife. He said, I don't care. Get in my car. I'll take you across the street. We'll go get a cashier's check. Boom. So I got on. So he drives me home. He makes me give the car to him right then and there, drives me home. And the wife comes home. She goes, what are you doing home? It didn't go so well. I said, no, I got nothing left to sell.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's how it started, with one car on a Saturday. And here we are 20 years later, almost 4,000 of these done. So.
Yeah. So how many cars you got on your forecourt? How many cars you got in stock?
Well, in stock today, we typically carry between 60 and 75 daily because we're moving in and out all the time. And you know, when you come across the states, across the water here, Dervish, you'll have to come over. We'll go for a drive and for some American iron. Yeah,
definitely. I was chatting with. Have you heard of the Ace Cafe?
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I had the director on my podcast a few weeks ago, and he was saying that he knows the chairman of the Hot Rod Association of Great Britain, and they do a lot of stuff over there in the States. I love hot rods. I love most American cars from the 60s going up to the 70s. I'd say I'd love. But so what do you drive at the moment? What's your daily driver, if you like?
So strangely, I drive something for a little while from here. I actually don't own a car at home, so I have no cars at my house. You know, a lot of people who are in the car business who love cars, they have some sort of cool cars. I have none. I have a garage full of motorcycles, only because, you know, I play with cars all day long, so it's hard to go home and play with more cars.
Yeah. My father-in-law's like that as well. Yeah, he's a mechanic, and he just doesn't like to. He doesn't like to mess around with cars at home, because he does it all day at work. So he's actually a Ferrari expert. So he diagnoses cars on the phone. So if you phone me and you say, I can't start this car, right? I don't know what's wrong with it, and he'll go through the patterns of what he thinks you should be doing, and he'll diagnose the car over the phone. He did that to a friend of mine who owns a supercar garage in Kent over here. And he's, this guy was trained in a Aston Martin, a proper garage. And then what happened was he phoned me up. He said, "Oh, can I have your father-in-law's number?" I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I can't get this car to start." I said, "It's a Vantage, Aston Martin Vantage." So I said, "All right, I'll give you Tony's number." His name's Tony as well. And Tony just diagnosed the car. And my friend rang me up. He says to me, how the hell does he do that? I said, you're looking at a 70-year-old man who's trained in Italy and Sicily on Ferraris from when he was 8 years old. In the barn in Sicily and Italy, the neighbor's got a Ferrari. You start to learn stuff. You start to pick up stuff. Tuning carburetors with your ears. I don't know whether your guys do that, but he does that. That's not easy. I don't think that's easy anyway. But it's amazing. It's amazing. So where did your classic car? So hang on, sorry. What's your favorite brand? What's your favorite?
Well, everybody grows up with a flavor, their favorite brand. I was more of, we called them Mopars, maybe like a Dodge and Plymouth and Chrysler cars. That was my brand. Friends who had Fords and friends who had the GM Chevrolets and things like that. But mine was kind of the Mopar brand.
Yeah.
And my first muscle car was a Dodge Challenger, 1971 Dodge Challenger.
Yeah.
And this business that we have here is built on I remember when. And so guys like me, my age, maybe you rode around in one of these cars as a kid or whatever. Maybe we went to college and we couldn't afford it at the time. And one of our friends had one and we got to ride in it. You have to get some rhythm together with your life. You got to get your job going, family going, kids, stuff like that. And then you can finally afford something. The wife says to you, Dervish, I'm so sick of hearing about that time you and Jimmy were riding around that GTO. We can afford it. Let's go ahead and get it. And so that's what happens.
Yeah. I like the you've got a Jeep Rubicon at the moment. You still got that for sale, 2015?
We do. We just put that right outside there. That's a good looking vehicle. That's with the top off and the doors that pop off. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah. What engine's that got?
That's got the V6. We're thinking about doing the transplant to the Hemis now.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to do that. So we buy a lot of donor drivetrains.
Yeah.
Out of crash like Jeep Grand Cherokees and things like that.
Yeah.
SRT motor, you're starting with almost 500 horsepower to begin with, which is pretty exciting.
You see, how much is fuel in the States? Because at the moment, fuel over here is quite expensive. So,
right.
It's I think it's £1.40 a gallon, which means it's about $2.30 a gallon. Is that expensive?
$2.30 a gallon is that would be cheap. I think your gas is significantly more than that if we're doing the conversion properly.
Okay.
You're about 40% more value pound to the dollar, right? Mm-hmm. The exchange right now.
Yeah.
You pay around $2.50 to $2.80 a gallon of gas, and typically the UK has always been almost double gas price here, and Europe even more. Hence the reason why so many countries use a 1.8 liter or a 1.5 liter engine, because the taxes. They tax them on the size of the engine to try to keep fuel consumption down.
Yeah. So like top supercars and hypercars, would you want to sell those? Like the Koenigseggs and things like that, or
right, yeah,
you're not interested?
Pagani. Yeah. So it's hard to know everything about every car ever built.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a place that requires a really good knowledge base. If you're going to talk to somebody about that car, you need to know. I'm fairly intimate with almost everything that we carry. And so I feel like I might not know enough about that to entertain that. So as cool as it sounds, I think I'm going to stick to some old school redneck muscle, if that's all right.
Yeah, no, that's actually quite a sweet spot for me. But I was looking at your Aston Martin online as well. You've got a nice gold. Is it gold one? I think you got a gold 2001 Aston Martin. Is it DB7?
That's a DB7 by then, and it's super low miles, and it was a one-owner car. I mean, it was just, we typically carry DB9s and newer, but the DB7, this one was just so nice, and it's a ultra rare 6-speed manual.
Yeah, yeah. So is that a stick shift or is it auto?
Yeah, it's a 6-speed stick shift manual, which is pretty rare.
Wow, wow. If I'll tell you what, if I had the money, I would definitely try and buy that car from you, because that car, let me see, $54,000 it is, I think, isn't it?
I think it's less than that. I think it's $44,000.
Okay, so $44,000. What would that be in the UK? About 30 grand?
That's well, it's 40 of 44, so it was 16. Yeah, in the lower 30s.
Wow.
30,000 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cheap, I think. And it's a left-hand drive, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's a US spec car, so it's left-hand drive.
Yeah. Because I'm definitely going to look into. I mean, I want a Bronco, definitely, and I'm talking with a guy in America at the moment. They build them to order, and they're about $75,000.
UK or US?
US dollars, yeah.
Okay.
Which is not bad. Apparently, they put in a different engine, so I think they put in something like a 4 or 5 litre. Is the Mopars going into the Broncos? I don't know, but that's
probably not. But the Ford 5 liter, that's the Coyote V8 that they put in like Mustangs, F-150s, things like that.
Yeah.
So those are really those are actually purchased. Most people don't buy them new because you can buy them from a low mileage car that's been salvaged because you're looking for the drivetrain out of it. And so instead of building yourself an exotic engine and transmission and things like that, you just pull the stoner part out, put it right into your new vehicle and to the restoration, and you have like a more reliable turnkey unit.
Wow, yeah. And have you done that? Have you done that and sold those?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And people don't mind having an engine from a different car, because in the UK they don't like it.
Oh, okay. Well, so here, a vehicle like that is called a pro touring car, meaning that it's a professionally restored car, but it's also or it's also called a resto mod, so restored but modified, right? And so you get the best of both worlds, where you get a nice old school muscle car, but you don't get some of the old school muscle car things that some people don't like, the smell of fuel and what have you. You get modern drivetrain. You turn the key, the fuel injection doesn't care whether it's cold outside or hot outside, and it just goes.
Which is people ideal. Yeah. I had a Porsche 924 Le Mans edition recently, and I drive about 100 miles to work, which is probably not a lot for you guys, but it is for us.
Daily or weekly?
Daily.
Daily's a lot of driving, sure.
Yeah. So I used to get out the other side, and my back and my legs would have been killing me, you know. But I had to sell it. Because it wasn't practical for me. As a low car like that is no good for me anymore, I would say. Although I'm never going to sell the Mini. Once I restore it, I'm going to restore it. I'm going to have it restored. I have done a classic car restoration course at college, but I'm not an expert. I'm no expert, and I want it to look. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I want it to look classy and spot on. You know what I mean by that? Spot on. It just has to look absolutely mint. You know, better than it left the factory, basically. And to do that, correct me if I'm wrong. To do that, nut and bolt restoration means take everything off the car, take the Mini out, the engine out, put that on the engine stand, rebuild that as well. Just strip it all back to bare metal, the shell, any welding, anything like that done professionally, and then build it back up, basically. So we've got a place called Mini Spares in Hertfordshire. They do every single Mini part you can imagine.
I buy parts from them.
Oh, you do, yeah,
I do.
yeah,
I buy parts for mini spares, of
yeah,
course. Yeah.
yeah. So they're very good in supplying all that sort of stuff. So hopefully this summer the lockdown's over and we can continue the rebuild of the Mini. I'm hoping to put some videos out online on YouTube and um, stuff like that. So hopefully you'll see my progress on that. Um,
That'd be great to see a time lapse of that. And Dervish, if you want a little advice along the way, I
yeah,
can help you, because what happens to most people is no one's ever restored a car. No one's ever restored a car and made money on it or done well. It always costs so much money to restore a vehicle. And we've experienced a lot of that along the way. And so I've come up with some really good shortcuts, some things to help keep the costs down. Because regardless of how much money you have, most people didn't get wealthy by giving it away, right?
yeah,
Wealthy
of
people
course.
didn't get wealthy by giving it away, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so finding some ways to control costs is important. And I can help you do that. So
Yeah,
I'm happy.
sure. No, I appreciate that. So, so, in terms of restoration, do you? How much do you know about restoration work? I mean, do you go and find barn finds and cars that are in a bad state and bring them back, do them up, and try and sell them, or?
Well, yes and no. So typically we would not take a car to restore from a rusty old thing and try to sell it because we could never make any money doing that. The cost to restore a car is very expensive. However, I've done lots of those, some for clients and some for cars that, were worthy of the end result when it was done. For instance, I'm doing right now a Sunbeam Tiger for
Okay.
my own personal car.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
that's a 66, and it's it's requiring a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of dollars.
yeah.
However, when it finally sells, it'll be fine, but it'll be a really cool car to have to say that, that will be the only car I own. So that would be it. I might have that in my garage. And so
So,
that's my homage to the UK.
yeah. I was gonna say it's a British car, isn't it? That one.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. That's a decent motor. Um, I think those sort of cars are becoming a lot more desirable now in the UK as well. So what I do is I go to all the shows around England and Dubai because I go on holiday to Dubai quite a bit.
Hmm.
Although I haven't been in the last year because of this lockdown. Um, but I noticed a lot of the desirable cars are the Sunbeams, the old Triumph convertibles. You've got some of the old Maserati convertibles. You've got some of the Lancias, all from the 60s and 70s. They're a lovely car. But the problem with those is that they rust a lot.
For sure, they definitely do. And so one of the cars we've recently started carrying because I just love the body style because it looks so good is the Lancia Fulvia. The
Yes.
Fulvia is one just sexy, beautiful car. It is just great. And what a strange engine in it, it's very compact, very much like the W16 of the Bentley, where there's staggered cylinders inside the heads.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's good, and I don't know, that's just a cool car too. We can talk about cars for days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I noticed in one of your YouTube videos, you've got that gold Corvette, and you've got like a red Impala Super Sport. Yeah. So how do you select cars to buy, or do customers come to you? How does that? Because how did those cars come to you? Like, what was the?
That's actually a really good question. So after being here for just doing this business for 20 years this year, we've gathered a pretty good following in the United States. We have almost 40 million views on our YouTube channel. We have over 50,000 followers. And we roughly get 100,000 hits a month to our website.
Wow.
So a lot of these people are, they're not all unique visitors, but we have a lot of people revisiting as well, but almost 100,000 that we have. And so strangely, we sell an analog product, but we're very digitally savvy. And so we're trying to reach out to these people all the time.
Yeah.
So people know about us from all over, whether it's a magazine article, this podcast, other interviews I do, things like that. People will say, I didn't know that you bought cars, but that's how we get them. So they call us and they say, hey, I have this car, or I have a friend, or I have a neighbor. And that leads me to the next part, which is the barn find, which is always a very interesting story, the barn find, where somebody will say, well, my aunt has a neighbor who has a garage, and I drove by it the other day, and there's a dusty car sitting in there, and it could be, and those are always cool.
So what do you do? Just cold call, knock on the door, or like what do you do?
So no, typically the neighbor, the aunt will introduce me so that I don't seem like a stalker. So and then we talk about it. A lot of times I like to really strangely negotiating the price of the car and things like that is always the uncomfortable part. And so I like to let them give me some idea. And quite honestly, I've paid many times. I've paid more than they were asking because they just didn't know what the value was.
Oh, okay. So you're a very honest man. You don't hide because I've dealt with some.
Well, don't let that get out. And I'm honest, please. That'll wreck my whole reputation. Don't let.
Yeah, yeah. But because I've done a few cold calls and it didn't go too well. So one story I can tell you is there was a Mark II Jaguar outside. Yeah, lovely car. I always wanted one there, and it was parked.
Beautiful interior.
Oh yeah, lovely. It was parked in front of this mansion in Greenwich. Greenwich is quite a rich area in London. Mansions, 5-story mansions with basements and stuff. And we're driving past, and I said to my wife, "That car's still there." And it went on for 3 months. Every time we drove past, same thing. The car's still there. God, look at it. It's rotting away. What should we do about this? She's going, look, if you want to knock on the door, just go and knock on the door. I'm fed up of listening to you saying every time we pass that same car, you say the same thing. Just go. So I pulled over. It was raining. And I entered the gates. And I went up the stairs. I knocked on the door. And an English gentleman came out. And he said that was his father's car. And he wanted to keep it. And I said to him, wouldn't you rather sell it to me so that I can restore it and see it driving on the road? And he was like, no, not really. I was like, oh, where do I go from there? Where?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, so, okay, thank you for your time. I just went off. And it's still there now. And it's rotted so badly now. There's a hole in the middle of the roof. There's barely any of the bonnet is left. It's such a shame. Absolutely.
Yes.
Criminal.
I see that all the time, that people have sentimental value to the car, but they never are going to do anything with it. So instead of fixing it up and let another enthusiast enjoy your father's passion, right? Instead of they're selfish and they just keep the car and it just deteriorates and
Yeah. I was even thinking about doing some sort of a deal with the guy to say, look, I'll buy it off you and you give me a certain amount of money to restore it. You still own it. But when you pass away, it becomes mine. I was thinking of some sort of a deal, see if I can that's what I do. I try and figure out something in my head that hasn't been done before in the UK, just so that I can save the car and respect the owner, because at the end of the day, I do respect people for their decisions, But it's sad to see. I mean, there was a guy on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you saw him, but he lit fire on an AMG Mercedes, brand new one. Just pour petrol over it, just set it on fire.
Why?
To get more followers, probably. I don't know.
That's an expensive advertising campaign.
Some of these Arabs, they do that sort of stuff, I've seen it. I've seen it before. Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times now. But, I mean, I guess for me, I've got a few cars that I want to buy. Impalas are nice. Impala, Chevy. Is it Chevy?
Impala, you're doing great. Absolutely. Good job.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Chevy Impala SS.
Right. SS
Yeah.
stands for
Super Sport, is it?
good job. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah.
the interview has changed now. Now it's me. I'm going to interview for a little while. Knowledge.
Yeah, because a lot of my knowledge is on European cars and
I know.
particularly German. I like the German cars.
Mhm.
Big Porsche fan, big Mercedes fan. I've been to both factories in Germany. Absolutely stunning place. They've got a cafe at the Porsche museum, and it's glassed all round, and you just sit there watching the classic Porsche guys do their work.
Oh, so the restoration is
Yeah,
being seen.
yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't know whether you guys have it in the States, but you've got in Europe now. You've got particularly in England. You've got like almost like have you heard of Duke of London? You heard of them? Duke of London, or what's the other place? They bought a massive RAF field, Royal Air Force, an
Mhm.
old
I know
airport
what the RAF
basically.
is.
Yeah, yeah, the airport. So they bought an old airport, and because the airport's got all the hangars, they make great garages, right?
Right.
So they've put a Porsche Classic Restorer in one. They're renting it to an Audi specialist in another. You've got Mercedes AMG next door. Then you've got Bentley Super Blowers. You know, the old 1920s and 30s Bentley
Right.
restoration shops. And they do events there. They do like coffee mornings. You can go there and just mingle and chat with people. Um, and there's quite a few of those. There's somewhere called Caffeine and the Machine
Mm.
up north. So that's just an old pub converted into basically it's a car memorabilia. I don't know whether you have that in the States, that sort of stuff. Or
Well, I don't know if you're talking about like restoration shops. Those, of course, we have. But if you're talking about meetings for fellow enthusiasts, we have things called Cars and Coffee,
oh yeah,
where Saturday morning or Sunday morning, everybody brings their car. They show up at 7:30 on a Saturday morning. It's over by 9:30.
yeah, yeah. I still haven't been to one of them. They do them here in the UK as well. I haven't been to one of them.
You
I'm a
should make
bit
a point to go to them, and I'll tell you why. Because
gone.
you're surrounded by you. You're surrounded by 200
Yeah,
or 300 other dervishes, right? That just
yeah,
love cars and could talk about cars. And the cool thing about it is it's short term, so that you can get back to the family. Maybe you have kids or whatever, and you can
yeah,
get
yeah,
back to the rest of your day. But at least you get your car fixed during the week every week.
yeah, yeah. And do you go to concourse of elegancies out there? You have those. I know you've got
Yes, we
Pebble
have those.
Beach. Yeah,
Yeah, we have Pebble Beach. We have one in Florida, the Familia Island. Um,
yeah, yeah. You've been to any of those?
I have been, yes. I have not
Yeah,
been to the Pebble Beach one. I believe that that's on the agenda the next time that's available.
yeah,
Strangely, Dervish, it's hard. I get asked the question all the time, well, why don't you watch this car show, or why are you not following this person? And the problem is that when you're surrounded by 50 or 60 supermodels every single day, right? It's hard to go to a supermodel convention or open Vogue magazine. I don't want to, I don't want to look at cars anymore because it's
that's
hard to
yeah.
replace what I have. So
That's so humble. That's so I respect that, man. That's cool. That's cool that you said that because your feet hasn't left the ground by the sounds of it, even though you've got like proper nice cars in your garage. And I know people like that here. They buy and sell supercars, and they're so down to earth. They're so friendly. Um, the Ace Cafe guy, for example, Mark Willsmore, his name is the director of the Ace Cafe. He's been there for, I don't know, 20, 30 years.
you really like him. I could tell by the podcast.
He was so helpful. He was one of my first podcasters, right? And he came on and I chatted to him for about half an hour, first of all, on just a private telephone call. I think he wanted to fill me out. And then And then we had the podcast. I said to him, I need you for about half an hour to 45 minutes. It ended up being an hour and a half. The guy loves talking about cars and classic cars and bikes. He loves his bikes. And I thought, look at this guy. And he knows Jay Leno. And he's so humble and he's so polite about it. He was such a respectable guy, and he was giving me all these hints on where to go and what to do with the podcasting, you know, who to contact. I'll give you his number. I'll give you, it's so helpful. And I like that. And then on the other hand, you got people that are just not nobodies, but almost they're trying to climb the ladder the same as me, if you like. And they, you know, they don't even want to talk to me. You know, it's just, you know, I've got loads of people who want to talk to me, don't get me wrong, but I don't get the attitude. You know what I mean? It's that your feet have left the ground, and I like that. That's really good. I was going to ask you something else. How are we doing for time? What's the time? Are we still?
We're 07. You should be 7:07 your time, right?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yeah. I'm just. Let me just check this. So we're 36 minutes in. I'll have you for another 5 minutes, if that's okay with you.
Sure, that's fine. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, no, it's been really cool. So I'm looking at, well, at the moment, because London now, well, UK in 2030, from 2030 onwards, will be selling no more fuel diesel cars, petrol cars. Did you know about that? Did you hear about that?
Well, I'm going to tell you that this is my 38th year in the car business.
Yeah.
My 38th.
Yeah.
I've actually been in the car business itself for 40 years, but my 38th year selling cars.
Yeah.
So I have listened to that same rhetoric every 10 years, every new administration. Yeah. Everybody's threatened to take away the petrol and become battery powered, solar powered, fuel cell powered.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows mechanics of like the future of great drivetrains, you do from your career, you know, in the space industry, right?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that customers are comfortable, people are comfortable with putting gas in their car. Until we sort out the battery issue, I think the electric car is really way smarter than the petrol car will ever be. Ever be. And we're going to keep this G-rated, but here's my feeling on the electric car, okay? The electric car is very much like having sex without sound. It's great, but without the sound, it's just not the same.
Okay. I'll get you. I'll get where you're going with that. Yeah. It's all right. There's no youngsters around, so we're good. And you can swear and do what you want on my podcast, because it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I mean,
I just don't see. I hear what you're saying, and we threaten every administration change because you have to appease voters. You have to appease the people that are backing you with the dollars, and typically people who are wealthy are typically more interested in saving the world because they already have money. And people who are hardworking want to save the world, but they just can't really afford to save the world, so they still need the petrol car. And I think it's a tough sell. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think people need to drive around in the 1967 Fiat 500, which is one of the cars that you've got for sale, haven't you? The white one with the blue stripe. That's a beautiful car, man. That is lovely.
I just tell you, those cars, they don't have a lot of juice under the hood, but when you drive those cars, that and the Mini Cooper, those two cars are the number one cars. I've had Lamborghinis, virtually every Porsche, every Ferrari, up to whatever year. And nobody loves cars more than the Mini Cooper and the Fiat 500 when I drive it. It's thumbs up no matter where you go. People in a Prius, like the Prius is the antichrist to what we do because it's an electric car. The people who buy Priuses typically hate cars and they only buy it because they have to have a car. Right? And they see a Fiat 500 or they see a Mini and they smile and they point and they give you the thumbs up. You know you're a baller then.
Yeah. It's weird because when I had the Mini on the road, I used to go up London quite a bit, and I'm a bit weird like that. I like driving around scenic routes of London, seeing Big Ben, seeing the London Wheel, going around the West End and going to Knightsbridge to see Harrods and parking outside Harrods. and
Right.
people just storm the car like you see pictures of your car on social media. You're like, wow, this is amazing. Like a car like that should be seen, and definitely it's been in the garage too long for sure. So I'm going to restore it.
Dervish, we need to get that rolling. So
Yeah, yeah.
I can't hold the sander with you to work on the body. We do need to get that going. So if you need a kick in the tuchus,
Yeah.
you email me every 3 days, and every 3 days I'll give you some threatening remark. Is it done yet? You order the parts yet? Have the gauges been redone? Hey, what's going on with the seat tracks? I told you we needed to get the seat tracks painted.
Yeah. That's what I need. The thing is, what I've got is at home, I've got a 4-car garage, which is unheard of in the UK.
Wow, that is big.
Yeah, it's a big garage, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get rid of all the stuff that's in there so that I've got space. And
right.
I think this is where my aerospace engineering comes into things. So in my head, what I want to do is I want to take every nut and bolt off the car, bag it and tag it, and hang it on the wall, right? So I can see the whole car in front of me on the wall, yeah. And then I know what needs replacing and what doesn't need replacing, and then I'll video the whole thing, and hope that when I build it, I don't forget to put nothing back that doesn't, because what I don't want to do is put the engine back in and I've forgotten some bit of wiring underneath where the engine needs to come back out again.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, I guess that's why my father-in-law's knocking about. He's there to help me. So
we're very fortunate to have him in your life, especially somebody, so many kids today, obviously finding good mechanics today is very difficult because kids today, they can work in an office surrounded by, people their age, air conditioned, not hanging over a hot engine, right?
Yeah.
And so finding somebody who's, just a good mechanic to come up the ranks is becoming tougher and tougher. So the fact that you have your father-in-law is a gift, and that's why all the more reason you should jump on this mini restoration.
Yeah.
And get it done.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to end the podcast. I don't want to end the podcast because I've made so much fun talking to you. So 5-car garage, unlimited value.
What's in there?
Your choice. So your choice, right? I said to you, unlimited value. You got all the money in the world. What 5 cars in the world would you choose?
I have to have a 74 E-Type. I like a 12-cylinder E-Type. I have to have that. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite car.
Yeah. Have you sold one of them? Have you sold any of those?
Lots of them. Sure. Oh, sure. Yeah. It's only one of the only cars that I've actually kept for a while.
Really?
Yeah. I have a fascination with British style is just great. And so I have a fascination with British style. Like nobody's really figured that out yet. The Italians do great bodies, but the British just do elegance like nobody else.
I would say thank you, but I'm not. Well, I am British. I was born here.
You're British.
Yeah, I was born here, but my parents are from Cyprus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So go on then. What's the second car?
Second car, I'd probably get a Hemi Superbird. So a Hemi Plymouth Superbird.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'd have to have. I think the Ferrari Superfast right now is probably one of the best cars out there. Plus, I love saying the name over and over.
Yeah.
If you can name a car Superfast, it's got to be Superfast.
Yeah. Sure, fair enough.
Yeah. I got 2 more, right?
Yeah, 2 more.
2 more. I still think the world's greatest sports car is the 911 GT3 RS.
Yes.
I think that is the world's greatest sports car. I think that I can't drive any car faster than I can that car. That car makes me a great driver. Even though
you've driven one, have you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've got a couple of GT3s, but never any RSs. But the GT3 is just a spectacular car.
Didn't that do the Nürburgring in some stupid time? Like really fast? The Nürburgring, the Nürburgring.
Of course, of course.
It done a really ridiculous time, didn't it?
Norderschleife? Did I say that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Nürburgring, I'm sure it did. I mean, it's an amazing car. We had a couple of GT2s, and the GT2 was very difficult to drive fast.
Okay. Okay. And then you got one more? Have you got one more?
I got one more. I got one more. I think I'm going to have a Mini Cooper. I just have to have a Mini Cooper. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just love getting in it. It's just so fabulous. But I think I'd get the Mini Cooper and modify it with maybe like a Honda VTEC with like 300 horsepower, just to surprise a few people.
Yeah, there's a guy in the UK that's done that already. He's all over YouTube. Mm-hmm. But I'm a stickler for originality. I'm a little bit like, if something's not factory condition, I kind of don't want it unless it does a better job than what the factory done, if you know what I mean.
For sure. Yeah. So that's.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
those 5 cars.
Okay. So if you were going on a road trip, where would you go and who would you take with you?
On the road trip, I think we have an iconic road here called Route 66.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yes. Loads of times. Okay. Yeah.
And believe it or not, I'd take my wife because she is a lot of fun and she loves cars and she loves me. And so I really appreciate both of those things because that gives me, she puts in a lot of effort to that. And I would like to spend that time with her, and we would just roll on down the road. She loves cars, knows cars. It's so funny. We were watching TV the other night, and there's a singer, a songwriter, entertainer called The Weeknd. And there's a commercial that comes on, and The Weeknd pulls up in a 190 SL. She goes, "Oh, that's a Mercedes 190 SL." I go, "You know what? You are a baller. You are a baller."
Yeah, that's cool. That's really, really cool. Yeah. So resurrecting a forgotten bankrupt company. So a car company which has gone, to the wall, bust, if you like. They no longer make cars. Which one would you try and bring back if you could, invest?
Tucker.
Mm-hmm. Never heard.
Tucker. Yeah. Let's see. I have a model of a Tucker. I do. 1 second. Let me grab that.
Yeah, got him.
Here's my. Let me see if you can see this. Over here is my display. I don't know if it'll let me spin it there.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So that's my kind of my wall art and things like that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That's just kind of my wall art. And so Tucker.
Oh, wow.
Tucker was very, very ahead of his time. Yep. And so he invented this vehicle. And for an aerospace guy, he was an aerospace guy as well. And so this car was rear engine and air cooled, so it eliminated the whole cooling system. Yeah. The headlights turned when you turned the steering wheel. It had a huge amount of innovation. And there's only, I don't know the exact number of Tuckers built, but only a certain amount of Tuckers built. And so not a super sexy body, but and there's a big movie on him too about it.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll have a look at that. I've never heard of him, to be honest. Yeah. Never heard of him.
Can you tell me, I would like for you to answer that last question for me, please. If you had to resurrect a dead car company, what would it be? For me, it might be the Bristol. You know the Bristol? Sure, AC Bristol? Yeah. Bristol, yeah, I would probably go for them. They've only recently just gone bust, actually. They've only just recently gone bust. So, unfortunately, a lot of British firms are going bust at the moment because of this whole lockdown. So, I think that was the final nail in the coffin. The first part of the lockdown, which was in March for us. And I was driving along Kensington, an affluent area of London, and I thought to myself, that doesn't look like it's going to be reopening because there was no cars in there. Whereas before, I actually went past there about a month before and there was one car in there still. And I think the guy that designed the Bristols was an aircraft engineer as well. Yeah, that sounds like it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because did AC buy Bristol and then they broke up because it wasn't AC Bristol? I think so. I think they did. Yeah. But that would probably be mine. I would have said TVR. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. But I think someone's already working on resurrecting that. That's already in the works. They are. But
But when you talk to my father-in-law about TVRs, he doesn't like them. He spits. When he talks to me about TVRs, he spits at me. And Lotus as well. Lotus, you know what he calls Lotus?
What?
Sewing machines.
Oh.
They're sewing machines.
I mean, Chapman wanted a light car, and if you want a light car, you got to put all. Remember, I don't know if you've heard his line, but Colin Chapman's line was, "The reason we're fast is because we add lightness."
Yeah.
Adding lightness.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But listen, I'm gonna let you go. Right. I want to thank you and your team for creating the garage, and what you've done there is fantastic. I've had a good look at you online. Unfortunately, I'm not in the States, so I can't really pop over. But hopefully, when this whole lockdown business is over, I'm looking at traveling to people to meet them, to do a live one-to-one podcast in front of them with backgrounds and stuff. So thanks for creating the podcast today for me. And thanks for being on here. It was lovely chatting to you, and my audience and my listeners will love this podcast, I'm sure. Give people where they can find you and how they can find you, please, Tony.
Thanks. They can find us on the web at FlemingsUltimateGarage.com.
Yep.
So that's where they find us on the World Wide Web.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, we have visitors daily from all over the world that come see us here.
Okay.
We have a huge indoor showroom. We have a full restoration shop on premises, paint shop, interior shops that we use around us for the infrastructure. And it's kind of cool just to see what's happening. And there's such a range of stuff that's here, stuff your parents would love, stuff that you would love, stuff your kids would love. And so we try to keep all that in the mix. So anytime you're in town, Dervish, if I'm in the UK, I hope it's okay if I look you up and call you and say, hey, let's get a beer together.
Be my pleasure. Be my pleasure, honestly. Yeah, be my pleasure. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay,
Perfect.
Tony.
Thank you so much for the day. And if I can do anything for you, we'll talk more on the Mini restoration.
You'll get an email from me about the Mini. Don't worry about that.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
take care. All right. Enjoy your day.
Thanks.
Cheers, man. Take care. Bye-bye.